Happy New Year, everyone! It's a brand new year full of fresh new challenges, fresh new surprises, and fresh new advancement and achievement for everyone. And also just some great movies to look forward to. You know, sometimes just to relax, forget our problems that will inevitably come, the troubles of every day, and get away to another world. Even if it is our world and it really did happen, but at least experiencing something hopefully better for somebody else, if that makes sense. But, you know, there's a lot of good things to look forward to, at least I hope so, for 2025, whether that's personal things. But this is a movie channel, so we're talking about the good movies that are to come. And inevitably, I'm sure some of them will disappoint, because all we have to do is look back at 2024. 2024 had some great movies, and it had some stinkers. It had some that we didn't have any expectation for, and it really surprised us. We had some that we had higher expectations for, and they flopped right on their face. But whatever the case, you know, just the fact that we got to see these movies, the fact that we got to enjoy, if you went to the movie theater, getting out of the house and going hopefully with friends, family, or just the whole movie going experience with other movie fans. So the biggest thing for me is I know a lot of movie review YouTubers have gotten their lists out already. Hey, it's still close enough to the beginning of the year that I think I'm within my allotted time. Plus this year, I know I say it every year, I am going to get both these videos done. I am going to get these videos done. So that in itself is a commitment. But as you can see, back here in the nerd cave, or the nerd web, the spider's web, whatever you want to call it, whatever I choose to call it on any given day. And I want to thank my friends Rachel and Rob for supplying me with a new equipment. It's a stand that is holding up the camera, obviously. So that was something I've been meaning to get. One of the reasons I haven't been in this room. So I want to say thank you to both of you if you're watching this. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to spend more time filming here in my nerd cave. So I will say, might not be great equipment. For some YouTubers might be like, oh, that's nothing. For me, it's a big deal. So again, I'm saying it too much, but thank you, you two. And we're going to start with talking about my least favorite films of the year. My top, or shall we say bottom 10 least favorite movies of 2024. Now, I want to stress that I say least favorite, because there are some movies on this list that I know look fantastic, were filmed amazingly. You know, they had great casts. The production value was up there. They have some redeeming qualities about one or two things. But these are primarily movies that I'm like, okay, I saw it. I don't really have a desire to see it again. Maybe they bored me. Maybe I just was like, that was terrible. But I never want to take away from how much work and effort goes into making movies. And I know at least maybe one or two movies for me on this list would be on people's top 10 lists of the year. One that I don't have on here, but just to give you an example so you can understand where I'm coming from, is Dune Part 2. I wasn't a fan of that movie. I have a review up for it on my channel. I wasn't a fan of it. It didn't work for me. I was bored by it, but that does not mean that the performances weren't great. Visually it was stunning. The CG was fantastic. But it's just, for me, where that might be in other people's top 10, it's not one of my favorite movies of the year. It's not one that I have to go see again and again. So that's a long way of saying, hope you enjoy it. And here are my least favorite, my 10, there's 10, least favorite movies of 2024. All right, we're going to get right into it. We're not going to go with any dishonorable mentions. And we're going to start with number 10, which is Challengers. Now, this was a film that I wanted to see in theaters, but I never got around to it. It just came out at a time when I was unable to go see movies. So I saw it when it came out on Blu-ray, and I was disappointed by it. It was definitely entertaining. I thought the performances were really good. I loved Zendaya in it. I thought she was great. The performances were good. The jumping back and forth between time was okay. It worked. But ultimately, it was a movie for me that I didn't get. I didn't grasp the ending of it. I didn't really see what was going on. I would have preferred maybe they had a little less of back and forth jumping between time periods and maybe done more of a straightforward story. Now, if they had done the time jump, maybe 2 or 3 times instead, or done it in a way that it's a person reflecting on what happened, which they did on occasion, maybe it would have worked better for me. But I just felt like this film did not deliver for me on what the trailers suggested was going to happen. It was purely a tennis movie. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not trying to diss on tennis. But I thought, based on the trailers, there was going to be more, competitiveness, more about the characters and fighting over Zendaya, or, she was going to be manipulating them more. I thought there was going to be more to it than there was. And really, it was all like back in the early days of their relationships. It wasn't so much the present. And I mean, it was an interesting story and it was okay. I just thought there was going to be a whole lot more, intrigue, a whole lot more manipulation, deceiving. It just kind of felt that way from the trailer. I mean, I remember the trailer ending with a shot on Zendaya just laying back and kind of smiling. And that alone to me, I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And it really wasn't. The story never fully grabbed me. I was never fully invested in what was going on. I didn't really care too much about the characters, except really when they were doing terrible things and being jerks. But you're supposed to not care. So this was a film, it's one that I could stand to watch again if I needed to. I mean, I'd rather watch it again probably than most of the other ones on this list. That's why it's number 10. But it's still just, it wasn't as good as I was hoping, or I wasn't as entertained by it as I thought I would be. So that's why Challengers for me comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have a film that I heard a lot of praise about before I saw it. People were saying this movie is great, it's different, the action is phenomenal, the way it's shot. I mean, this movie just had a lot of praise that I saw going into it, especially because it wasn't a big studio release. But when I saw it, I was just like, okay, good action. But again, like with Challengers, what's the story? I'm having problems following it. And that movie was Monkey Man. Even for me, this story, I felt it was like more complicated than Challengers. Trying to figure out, okay, wait, who's this guy? Why is he doing what he's doing? I mean, I get that it's for revenge. But then it was like halfway through, it cut to him after he was hurt and being taken care of in a monastery or something. And I guess learning a lesson about how to, get revenge, but it's not really revenge. It's one of those stories, even though it is a revenge story. I'm not helping it because the movie didn't really do anything for me. I don't even really remember the character. I don't remember what the whole plot was besides him just trying to kill people. And I think it was because the guy killed a whole bunch of people in his village. I think that's what it was. But like I said, it just didn't really make sense. I couldn't follow it. I was scratching my head a lot of the time. But the action was good. I can't deny that the martial arts really worked. It was really incredible to see the martial arts. I mean, whoever this actor is, I forget the name. He's really good at that stuff, and he really got a chance to show it off here. That was definitely the standout for me in this film. When they started getting into the fights, when they had the one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat, I'm like, okay, I'm in. This movie works. I like this. This is enjoyable. This is fun. And there were, again, one or two laughable or moments that made me smile. Because I think that's something you have to have in movies, no matter how serious they get. But it wasn't enough for me to save this film. You need to have more than just good action, unless that is why you're going to a specific movie. If that's all you're expecting, then great, you've got it here. The story does not matter. But even in that situation, for me, I love action movies. Don't get me wrong. I am one who generally will watch action films, will love them, and just enjoy the mayhem, shall we say, that's going on. But I usually want to at least have a simple story, a story that I can at least follow, or characters that I can get behind. Here, I couldn't really follow what was going on. Not to mention, it was shot a lot in darkness, it seemed. I'm not a person who normally brings that up, but here I'm just like, I can't even see what's going on. You're talking quiet. I can't understand. It disappointed me, and I know there were a lot of people out there that really enjoyed this film, thought it was really good, and it's definitely interesting and a step in the right direction. But it's not one that I'm like, again, I saw it. Okay, I'm glad I saw it, but I'm not going to rush out to see it again just for the action. So coming in at number 9 for me is Monkey Man. So coming in at number 8, we have The Crow. Now, before I saw this film, I saw the original one with Brandon Lee for the first time. I had never watched that original, and I definitely thought it was good. It was interesting, it was different, it was unique, especially for the time that it came out. And it moved. You know, the action was good, the story was understandable, and we got to everything quick, and we just went with it. This remake didn't really do any of that. It took like half the movie till we finally got him becoming the Crow. I think we start off with, we did see him and his girlfriend. I think they made her, because I can't remember if it was his girlfriend or fiance. They start off, I think, still with them dead, but we got the backstory right away, and it was confusing about who this girl was and why he was here, what all was going on. I felt like they never really flushed out the backstory of either of these characters really well. Of the two of them, the lead actress, I'm going to say, who was his girlfriend, she was the most developed of the two of them. Because she had something the bad guy wanted. She was going to reveal stuff. The bad guy didn't want her to release it, didn't want it to be known. So he has her murdered. And her boyfriend, Skarsgård, yeah, the guy with the last name that I can't say, he just got in the way. He was collateral damage. The basic story, you could follow. I will give it that. You could follow, these people were murdered because this main villain wanted them dead. It seems like he had to deal with the devil, and that's how he remained young, by sucking the life out of these young girls. Oh, real quick, I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning, but there's going to be spoilers through every single one of these videos. So if for some reason I spoiled the earlier 2 films for you, I'm sorry, but you had a lot of time to watch them. But back to the movie itself. But once they got to the actual Crow moments, once he actually became the Crow and we saw the violence and the fighting and the action scenes, they were great. They were a lot of fun to watch. That's the thing I will say right now. You will see on this list a lot of these movies. The action was good, and I was fine with that. I just thought the rest of the movie didn't hold together. And here, even, it just felt like it took forever to get to the main point of the film. Like I said, it felt like it took about half of the movie before we actually got to the cusp of what this movie was supposed to be about, or what the movie was saying. You know, the whole point of the whole film. And even the whole why he came back, where he was when he died, I guess it was purgatory, or I guess it must have been purgatory, trying to explain exactly what happens and why these guys come back, why crows allow them to return. I mean, I was like, I don't get it. I'm confused. What exactly is this place, and why are you here? And the original just did it better. I mean, they're back. They come back to seek vengeance for something that was done wrong to them. Plain and simple. Don't need to know about all this why and where did they go and how did they come back from that place. We didn't need all that. The film was overly complicated with its lore that it was trying to build. It was overcomplicated at times with the story, but at the same point, it didn't give enough of the story for other characters. Again, we knew a good bit about his girlfriend, the lead actress, I'll call her, but him, we really didn't know anything about his background, or if they did, I can't remember it. So for me, that's why The Crow comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is the film that I know is going to get the most discussion, or people who watch this video might turn it off after this one. It's a movie that a lot of people who saw it will have probably in their top 10. And people will be, how could you not like that? That movie was great. It was action-packed. It was phenomenal performances. The story was good. It was about a character that we liked. Sorry. I mean, I just didn't. To each his own. We all have movies that we like for certain reasons or we don't like. We're not all going to agree on everything. And the truth is, I just haven't liked this franchise. Admittedly, the movies I've seen. So, for number 7 is Furiosa. I didn't care for it. I had a feeling going in that I wouldn't. Because I wasn't into Fury Road. I didn't see why people loved it so much. I guess I went in thinking, okay, everyone says this movie's amazing, so the bar was up here. And I watched it, and it maybe made it to like here. Because I did like Furiosa in that film. Charlize Theron, loved her in that movie. She was the best part of it for me. But I've just never gotten into this franchise. I admit I haven't watched all of them, so maybe would be some that I'd actually enjoy. But this movie, I was just bored by it. I mean, I will admit, the practical effects, the practical action that the director did, the performances were good. You know, it looked fantastic. But this was one of the few movies that as I was watching, I'm like, why do you do that? Don't be stupid. You know, or clearly, do you not see it's the same girl? How did you? And I don't normally do that with movies. I normally can suspend my disbelief pretty well. But there was something about this movie that, I mean, I knew certain things had to happen for other things to happen. But it just didn't make sense to me. And I was thinking like my dad for once. You know, basically my dad will go into a movie at times and be like, that doesn't make any sense. Why did the character do this? And that was me for this movie. again, it's something I've prided myself on, that I don't do that. Couldn't help it with this one. And I mean, there was just action, action, action. Okay, cool. Action's good. It's definitely unique. It's different. It's interesting. It can be fun. If that's all I wanted, then it was great. And that stuff was good. But I just found it lacking in so many other areas. I just didn't care about the story. It wasn't interesting to me. I was like, I'm kind of confused about what all is going on. Even watching Fury Road, knowing how things would eventually be and getting some idea from there and seeing parts of the original films, I just don't understand this world. I don't understand what is going on. And yeah, it was just a film that everyone was like, oh, this movie's great, this movie's great. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe this will be the one that changes my mind. And it didn't. The film was just not for me. Now, I wish I could remember her name, and I'm kicking myself because I like her as an actress overall. I think she does good things. But I can't remember her name now. The actress who plays Furiosa. I thought she was great. The costumes I found intriguing. The way they made everything looked, I liked. Her general story, I felt, worked, and the ideas were there. I just, plain and simple, it just overall didn't work for me. I couldn't get excited about it. I wasn't on the edge of my seat being like, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, what's that? It didn't work or flow for me as well as I wish it would have. Or apparently as well as it did for a lot of people. It's just a film that I'm like, okay, I saw it. Had good things, but again, Oh, I could watch it again, I guess, for the action if that was all I wanted. So, for me, that's why Furiosa comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is a film that I really did not expect to have on this list. I thought for sure that it would be one of the better films of the year. I thought even if it wasn't in my top 10, it would be, a movie I really liked and I had a lot of fun with and that I would love. Because it's a sequel. And I hoped it would be as good as the first one was. Because the first one was a huge surprise. And this one, unfortunately, just fell short. And I know The Crow is a comic book, and I know The Crow is a superhero, but it's not too often that I put superhero movies in my least favorite films of the year. You have to be pretty bad to end up on here. So if you haven't guessed it by now, coming in at number 6 for me is Joker: Folie à Deux. This movie just didn't work. I was bored by it. I watched a couple videos afterward of people who actually enjoyed the film, and everything they were saying, I'm like, then why did he make the film? What was the point? You're insulting us if you think that that's, if that's what he meant, then he's insulting comic book fans and all the people that liked the first film. I mean, if it was his mission or his desire with this film to make fun of people who liked the first film and said, you're not supposed to like Joker, but you're supposed to understand about, why this can happen to people. It's about the system and it's about how broken things are, but you're not supposed to aspire to be Joker. Okay, sure. But I think most people, again, there's always the people out there who take the wrong message and really run with the wrong message from things. But I think most people get that. A lot of the people who went to see Joker were interested in the film, were interested in the idea, but there were plenty of people who were comic book fans as well, who just knew the character. And maybe I'm overthinking, or maybe I'm giving more credit than I should, but I think a lot of people knew who Joker was, and they were going because it had the name Joker. And they were going because they thought, oh, well, Batman has to be in it somewhere, right? and they ended up enjoying it more than they expected. Or some people ended up not liking it. But to take that and basically flip it on its head for the second film, if that was what he was trying to do, if he was trying to, be like, you guys are dumb, why did you like the movie? Here, you're making us make a second film, then you shouldn't have just don't make the movie. If Warner Brothers wanted you to make it, let them have somebody else make it, or bring in somebody else for Joaquin Phoenix. Sure, fans are gonna be like, why? But stick to your guns. The money shouldn't be why you make a film. But who knows? Money is money, and he made this film. I think part of the fault of this is also on Warner Brothers. But all that to say, I just thought this movie wasn't well done. I didn't think it worked. As people have said, it feels more like an epilogue to the original film, which it does. And for me, there's not enough Joker. Oh, there's plenty of Arthur Fleck in there. But there's not enough Joker. It's called Joker Folie à Deux. And I wanted to see more of him as Joker. I thought we got past the Fleck. I thought he was now Joker. Maybe that wasn't the point of the first film. Maybe the point was him coming to terms with it. Fine, then end it there. But I went to see Joker. I wanted to see Arthur Fleck as Joker and Joker on trial, which he was, but there was so much analyzing of his psyche and all this that I'm just like, this isn't why I want to see this movie. You can put this stuff in, but you have too much of it. And the musical numbers, it's so stupid. You could have made it a musical. You could have done that. I would have been fine with it. But the musical stuff didn't make any sense. They were just thrown in there. They didn't help with the story at all. They didn't feel right. They felt like they were just tossed in there because, we want to do something different. We want to really mess with people's expectations. Honestly, I don't think Joaquin Phoenix is even that great of a singer. And then you have Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, or Harleen Quinn. I don't even think they call her anything remotely close to Harley in this film. Whatever, the name it's not Harley Quinn. She's not. And I will give them the credit, she is infatuated with the Joker, just like the comic books, just like the cartoon, and that's fine. There's that part of Harley's character. But the rest, it's just not Harley. It's not Harley. And I mean, the parts of this film that were good, at least to me, were the dream sequences, where it was Harley and the Joker dancing and singing. That stuff was interesting, and that stuff was fun. The part where Joker shows up in the courthouse and starts causing all these chaos and dreams of bashing the judge's skull in, or when he starts defending himself, that was good. Like, to me, that's what I was hoping the movie would be. With the lesson built in, with these ideas incorporated. It wasn't what I got with this movie. And then the whole opening short cartoon took 3/4 of the movie before I realized what that was. That didn't work for me. So with all that being said, can't recommend it. And Joker Folie à Deux comes in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, we have Skincare. Yes, a movie called Skincare. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you have never heard of this movie, didn't even know this movie existed, because I hadn't seen any previews for it. The only reason that I saw this film was because I went to one of those secret screenings at AMC, and this happened to be the movie that was there. And the movie's okay, I guess. I mean, it's not my cup of tea. It really didn't work overall for me. I mean, there was a mystery going on, and I mean, they start you off basically at the end. It's one of those movies. And the cast was fine. I mean, it had Elizabeth Banks starring, which I liked. Nathan Fillion was in it, which was neat. But the story itself was not really what I was expecting. And I mean, not that I was expecting anything. Like I said, I didn't even know about this movie. I didn't know the title. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know any of the plot details. But just the opening scene, I'm like, okay, we're going to get into a mystery. What happened? Why is she in this predicament? And then as the movie kept going, I'm like, oh, it's going to be something really secretive. It's going to be a big reveal of everything that's going on. No. The secret was just that somebody was setting all these things up to make her look crazy so that she'd go out with them and appreciate them, and so that they could manipulate her into doing certain things. It wasn't anything spectacular. I mean, I understood what the story was, and like I said, the performances were fine. I like Elizabeth Banks. I like Nathan Fillion. I thought the other performers, other actors in it, did a good job. But it was just a movie. I'm like, well, I could walk out of this, but I wanted to give it a chance because I paid to see it. I took a risk. You know, you never know what the movies you're going to get with these screenings are. And I mean, it definitely wasn't the worst movie of the year. It definitely wasn't the worst thing that I sat through. If you're into the fashion world, if you're into makeup and that industry, then yeah, I can definitely see you enjoying this film. Or if you see the trailer and it looks like it's for you, then yeah, I'd say check it out. But this movie clearly was not targeted at me. So that's why, for me, Skincare comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is a film that is getting a lot of Oscar buzz, is getting a lot of buzz for Best Picture, for the performances, and it rightfully deserves it. I'm not saying that it's not a very well put together film, well executed, or that the performances are bad of any kind. I mean, for me, at some points, that's what saves the movie a little bit. And this was a film that I saw because my parents had seen it. And it was one of the 2 films my mom saw this year. The other film my mom saw was on, spoiler alert, is on my favorite 10 films of the year. I'm not going to say which one, but so it was something I wanted to be able to connect with my parents more on. I wanted to have something that I could actually talk to them about in an industry, in things that I like. Because based on this channel, I love movies, among many other pop culture things, and I wanted something to be able to share with them. So I went to see this movie, and that movie is Conclave. But yeah, just wasn't for me. It was not at all what I thought. The trailers led me to believe, I'm like, okay, so who killed the Pope? That's going to be the question. It's going to be a big mystery. Who killed the Pope? And there's a ton of secrets that are going to be revealed. And that's what this whole story is going to be about. And it's not. I mean, nobody really killed the Pope. He just died, but there's a bunch of secrets that are hidden that come out about the possible candidates for Pope, about the one that becomes Pope, about everything that the Pope didn't bother to tell the other people involved, the other priests, the other cardinals. And I just was like, okay, this is an interesting story about stuff that can happen. You know, a lot of people, myself included, probably thinks, oh, there's a lot of stuff like this about the Catholic Church. I mean, they're all over the news at times. And just thinking about it, it's like, wouldn't be surprised if this stuff actually happened. Of course, it's things that we're never going to know about. But while I will say, again, well put together, good performances, it just wasn't for me. It was not all what I thought it was going to be. They put it out there as like a suspense and a thriller. I mean, it was thrilling, and there was definitely some suspense, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't the suspense thriller type that I was into or that I was hoping for. So I just found myself being like, okay, what's going on? Oh, something happened. Oh, interesting. Like, it never it just never really worked for me. I never got interested. I never got fully invested. It just seemed more, I would have called it a political thriller. Because that's really what it felt more like, with the Vatican being its own nation and having its own politics. That's really what this movie felt like. So it's one that I'm glad, I will admit, that I saw, so I can have something to talk about with my parents and actually have some camaraderie in the sphere of movies. But it's not one that I would probably have gone to see otherwise, except to broaden my horizon. So that's why, for me, Conclave comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is a movie that I really hoped I would like. It was a film that I wasn't thrilled with the way the previews and the trailers were showing it, but I'm like, hey, this is my type of movie. It's with characters I know, and you can't get terrible. Or at least I didn't think you could get any worse than some of the previous films. I'm like, it's a comic book movie. I'm going to enjoy it. And yeah, it's not going to be as bad as Morbius was. Yeah, boy, Madam Web really proved me wrong. And this is a film I wanted to enjoy. I tried to enjoy while I was watching it. And it took a second viewing, which I did for the ranking of those films here on the channel. So I'm not going to go too deep into it. But it was a movie that just had way, way too many problems for me. It was a movie that I'm like, nope, not adding this to my collection. Watched it again. I'm like, yeah, there's just so much stuff in here that just doesn't work. I'm disappointed that certain characters aren't going to get another chance, at least as far as I can tell, not in the foreseeable future. They talked about Peter Parker, or hinted at Peter Parker way too much they didn't need to do. The action scenes were just boring, not good. And I mean, the interactions, just the story and performances overall, I hate to say it, they just weren't great. The one or two saving graces I'll point out about this film, I liked how they visualized her powers. I thought that was well done and interesting. And I love the look of the suits from the future. Other than that, I've talked a lot about this film. If you want my opinions, you can go watch those other videos. But this was definitely, for me, I should have expected less. But I was hoping I was going to be wrong. I was hoping that other people who told me, oh no, this movie can be good, would be right. No. It's one of the worst films, not only of the year, but one of the worst superhero films, period. So that's why Madam Web comes in at number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Bob Marley, One Love. If you love Bob Marley's music, if you're a fan of his, then this film's going to be for you. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But for me, I think part of it was I was so sick of seeing the trailers. That trailer, especially that second one, was one of the most annoying ones of the year for me. So I'm like, I'm just going to see this. I'll check it out. Because there were some people who said it was good. And I went and I just couldn't care less. I liked listening to the music. I thought, in general, I thought the performances were fine and were good as far as I could tell. But I just didn't really have any interest in it. I guess it's because I'm not really a Bob Marley fan. I don't have any of his CDs. I don't listen to his music. But I mean, in the past, there have been biopics that I don't remember listening to their music. I can't remember whose music is whose. And then I will listen and be like, oh, that's them. Yeah, I like that music. Or the biopic will still be interesting and still be entertaining. This one, it just didn't do anything for me. I mean, most biopics seem to have a message. I mean, you can almost always come close to what the type of message is going to be, whether it has something to do with drugs or love and divorce and disease or something, that the artists are going to overcome this thing that they have, or they're the problem. They have to realize that, I need everybody else. It's not about me, or it's about fame going ahead. And here, I mean, I was glad none of that was really here. I mean, there was a little bit with Bob Marley and his wife, I think. But this was more just a biopic about his life, about him dealing with the consequences and the issues of people not liking him politically and trying to kill him, and just the stuff that he dealt with. Um, if you can't tell, I can't remember a lot of what this movie was about because I saw it once. I saw it early in the year and I was like, okay, this didn't make me interested at all. It didn't make me want to go and pick up one of his CDs and listen to the music. And as I'm thinking about it, that's really what a good biopic, especially when it comes to musicians and artists, will do. You might know the artist or you've heard his music, but the movie will get you engaged enough that you either want to learn more about his life or you want to go pick up the music and listen to it. That's what some of the other films have done for me, but this one, no. Okay. I don't have a desire to read any more about Bob Marley. I don't really have a desire to listen to his music. So, yeah. That's really it. I mean, it didn't hit me like it did other people. So that's why for me, Bob Marley, One Love comes in at number 2. And yeah, coming in at number 1 is a movie that I got a lot of comments for. And by a lot of comments, I mean, if I normally get 1 or 2 comments on a video, this one I got like, I feel like I got 10 on. And most of them were negative. People just slamming me for it. And I knew after I saw it, I had a pretty good feeling this was going to be at the bottom of the list. It's a movie that, again, I saw this one as a sneak, see unseen movie at AMC. It was one that I did think about, oh, maybe I'll just walk out. But I wanted to give it a chance. I want to give most movies a chance. But for me, there really was no redeeming qualities of this film. And that movie's The Book of Clarence. There was nothing about this movie I liked. There was nothing about it that for me was redeemable. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch was in it. James McAvoy was in it. I don't know why they were in it. I like those two. The one out there actor that I knew that I kind of liked, I forget his name, but he was the Blue Ranger in the Power Rangers remake movie. So I knew him. And I know what they were trying to do. And it didn't offend me on a religious basis. I mean, I didn't really feel offended by it really at all. I was able to see where this movie was going. I knew the type of things that would come out of it. And I could not enjoy the movie. That's really it. I just did not enjoy it. I didn't think the performances were good. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it made any bold statements. I don't think it said anything really that was important. It didn't change my views on anything. It hits on one point of religion that seems to come up every now and then in this day and age with, who Jesus actually was. But again, I'm not into this. I'm not saying this movie's wrong because of its religious stuff. That stuff, I could care less about that with film and things. I just didn't like this movie. It was boring. It wasn't funny. It was weird. It was strange. I felt like it didn't really have any artistic value. And I feel bad saying that too, because I know a lot of effort was probably put into this by those involved. But this movie, it was just bad to me. And I wish I never saw it, to be honest. So that's why for me, this movie, and I have a feeling people watching this who make it to the end might have something to say about this movie again. But I'll just be honest. I didn't like it. I really don't like this movie. I'd rather watch any other films on this list again over this one. So that's why for me, Book of Clarence comes in at number 1. And there you have it. My least favorite movies of this year. I honestly think there's a variety of movies in here. It doesn't feel like they're all one type of movie, besides the fact that I don't care for any of them really. But they all generally have something that might be redeemable. But it just goes to show that there are certain types of movies I might love, like superheroes and, well, Disney. But that doesn't mean that I can't appreciate other films or that all the films from that genre I will like. As this list has proved. So going through them again, real quick, forgive me while I look to make sure that I do get them all in the correct order, is number 10, Challengers. Number 9, Monkey Man. Number 8 was The Crow. Number 7 was Furiosa. Number 6 was Joker Folie à Deux. Number 5 was Skincare. Number 4 was Conclave. Number 3 was Madam Web. Number 2 was Bob Marley, One Love. And at the bottom, at number 1, was The Book of Clarence. So, these are the movies that I really had a hard time enjoying this year. They're ones that, for the most part, I'm glad I saw, so at least I have a variety, like I've mentioned. But they're not films that I'm going to rush to see again anytime soon, or at all, unless for some reason, they're involved in a ranking I need to do or something. Which, for the most part, I think most of these probably won't ever be involved in those. But this is just my list. Doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's wrong. What films were your least favorite of the year? Some of the ones you mentioned, maybe I really liked, or maybe they just barely made my list and I'd rather watch them over these films. Because there were some that almost made the list. But whatever your thoughts, go ahead and leave them down below in the comments. And please, remember, let's all be respectful. We all have our own opinions. That's what makes movies so great, is that we can all enjoy different types of movies. We're not all the same. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And until the next video, where I think things are going to be a little bit more lighter, or until we really get going in 2025, remember, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time.